nice to be here with you all. And I mean, you know better than me, but this used to be the temple, right? The whole thing, basically.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada said all this, yes.
He did?
Yes.
Wow. Anyway, you know what? I stayed here for a few days in 1978. Yes. Where were you in 1978? The Drugon Minister. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, right. I happened to visit America for a little while, 1978. Anyway, devotees, we are going to read some things from Srimad Bhagavatam. And specifically, as Braj Vihari Prabhu announced just a little while ago, regarding the demons in Krishna's Vrindavan Leelas and the anathas they represent. Oh, it's very interesting. Very interesting. And it's a combination, it's a combination of the pastimes, the Leelas, and some philosophy and some understanding and practical ideas, what you can do to help yourself deal with anathas. Yeah, this word anatha, artha basically means sort of classically in Sanskrit, artha really means something which is useful, helpful, beneficial. This is artha. Whereas anartha means something, you could say something which is useless, or even worse than useless, is actually detrimental. It's bad for you. That's the basic idea. Right. And one of our great acharyas from not so long ago, 100 years or a bit more in the past, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he examined the Leelas of Krishna while he was in Vrindavan. Means basically his childhood Leelas and kind of early youthful Leelas. And he explained how each of the demons who Krishna killed represents a particular anatha, something like a habit. I mean, different things, some of them are habits, some of them are like misconceptions, but these things are not good for you, they're bad for you. Yes, so we will go through them. Now, one thing is, there's 21 of them. There's 21. And if we go through, well, we can go through very briefly the 21. We tend to get a little sort of carried away in describing some of them. I'll try and go through them quickly. And then I will focus on maybe one or two which are like of particular interest. So let's just have a look here. Just a sec. Right. So, where am I? Here I am. But first of all, please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yes, okay, so these are the demons that Krishna killed. Actually, not in every single case, but in most cases he killed. In a few cases he corrected some of these people who got off track. But most of them he killed in his Vrindavan pastimes, at least as far as the descriptions of Srimad Bhagavatam are concerned. In fact, there's lots more, because, well, the first demon was, who was the first demon? Potomac. Who was the last demon? Oh, okay, no, we're talking about in Vrindavan, not outside. Vrndavana was the last one, right? So anyway, let's just run through. Well, there was many more. Prabhupada explains in one of the last chapters, I forget exactly where, but one of the last chapters of the part of the 10th canto, which he translated and commented on. Prabhupada says there that particularly when Krishna was going out to herd the cows, well, the calves first, then the cows. During those periods, every day, Krishna was going out 7 days a week. 7 days a week. And herding the calves first for some years, 3 years, and then for the balance of the time he was herding the cows. Yes, and Prabhupada explains every day, at least 2 demons would come. Would you believe? 2. That means, that's minimum, sometimes 3. So what's 365 multiplied by 2? 1,300 and something. That's how many demons per year, minimum, he was killing. So, but the Bhagavatam only refers to and describes 21 of them, because they're kind of like very prominent ones actually, but they're all demons. And what would happen would be that, and this is going on by the arrangement of Potomac Yogamaya in Vrindavan. She would send the demons. They had to come, but she would send them sort of strategically at particular times. The first one in the day would be around 1 o'clock, and Krishna would fight with the demon and kill the demon. And that was a sign. All the cowherd boys knew it's lunchtime now. Dead demon, lunchtime. And then she would send the second one, because generally there was 2, there's only on a few occasions there were 3. She would send the second one, sort of late-ish afternoon, 4:30, maybe 5-ish, that sort of time. So now again, big fight. Krishna kills the demon. The cowherd boys applaud and cheer, Jai Shri Krishna. And then someone would announce, time to go home. And it was arranged like that every day. Yeah. So, that's how it was working with Krishna in his pastimes, particularly when he was doing, first of all, the calf herding, and then the cow herding later on. So, the first one, at least according to the Bhagavatam, she was actually the first one to come, was Potomac. And Putana represents, in terms of an anatha, she represents the pseudo-guru. The pseudo-guru. Can you imagine? Pseudo-guru. Like the false guru, you can say. Which can be in two forms. One is a person who is giving wrong teachings in the names of spirituality or God or like that. But it's all wrong. And he's sort of fooling people, and people are wasting their time and getting deviated. People who actually have some interest in these things, but now they're just being sent down the wrong path. So that's one manifestation of the pseudo-guru. The other manifestation, devotees, is, believe it or not, your mind. We all have minds, don't we? Sometimes your mind has a mind of its own, and just, and sometimes your mind rebels. I mean, sometimes the mind goes really off track and people get some sort of psychosis even, or something of that sort. But at least the mind, in the sense that the mind is very talkative and may suggest, hey, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? But usually the inclinations of the mind are towards material activity. Usually. So yeah, the mind can be a pseudo-guru. So the second one is Shakatasura, who came in the form of Shakat, means a cart, the cart demon. And he represents the tendency to carry a cartload of bad habits and attachments from your earlier days, or even previous lifetimes, it can be. Yeah. Third one is Vrndavana, who was the whirlwind demon, and he represents like ideas people get through false materialistic scholarship. Yeah, bogus philosophies, which have a blinding effect, like a whirlwind. If you've been in a whirlwind, I mean, not a tornado, they're too dangerous, but just a whirlwind, your eyes can get really messed up, and you can't see. So that's Vrndavana, the whirlwind demon, the whirlwind of false ideas. Fourth one is the deliverance of Nala, Kuvera, and Manigriva, the sons of Kuvera. Basically means the Damodar Leela, if you're familiar with that. How Mother Yashoda, anyway, it's a long story, but she had to tie up Krishna, and then she went and did something else, and he crawled away dragging this wooden grinding mortar he was tied to. It became stuck between two trees, which were Nala, Kuvera, and Manigriva. They had been cursed to become trees. Krishna knocked them over, then they came out as Nala, Kuvera, and Manigriva. Yeah. And they had been cursed to become trees because, well, the anatha is to be very proud of your high birth and, sort of aristocratic or wealthy type of birth, that type of situation. And the fifth one, who I'm thinking of focusing on today, is Vatsasura. Vatsa means calf, actually, as in baby cow. Yeah, so the Vatsasura represents anathas connected with bringing up children in Krishna consciousness. Did you hear that, children? probably not. Yeah. In other words, sort of thinking that children are like little toys, soft toys you can play with, and that's what children are. Whereas actually you've got to bring children up, and ultimately in Krishna consciousness. So that's what I'm thinking of talking about today. Then number 6 is Bakasura, who was, Prabhupada says he was in the form of a duck, but it's actually more like a stork, if you know what I mean. Semi-aquatic bird, long legs, long beak, long neck. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's Bakasura, who represents hypocrisy, duplicity, deceptiveness. Then Agasura is number 7. He's in the form of a snake, and he represents enviousness, cruelty, causing trouble to others out of envy. And it's just an interesting little technical point of language. Aga means, basically Aga means sinful, and Asura means demon. That was his name, sinful demon. Imagine being introduced to people. Yes, sir, what is your name, please? Oh, my name is Sinful Demon. That's what his name was. Then the 8th one is, well, it's actually Lord Brahma. Of course, he's not a demon, and Krishna does not kill him in the pastime. But Brahma does become very confused and forget who Krishna is. And he thinks Krishna is just an ordinary little boy. And so Lord Brahma, he is thinking that this boy is too proud because the village people glorify him all the time, like he's someone special, but I'm going to show him who's special around here. Who's special around here is me, Lord Brahma. So he stole the cowherd boys and calves to try and frighten Krishna. That, where have they gone? What am I going to tell everyone's parents when I go home on my own? And the parents asked, where's my son? And Krishna said, oh, lost him. He's gone. So, yeah, it was a real situation. And this represents the anantha of thinking that the Lord's opulent features, powerful features, are higher than his sweetness. Yes. So in Vaikuntha, Krishna he's there as Lord Narayan, and he's just the big, powerful Lord. Right, and everyone bows down to him. Yeah. But in Vrindavan, people don't treat Krishna like that. But they play with him. Sometimes, like Mother Yashoda, chastises him, ties him up, if she feels he's being naughty. So yeah, those sweet pastimes in Vrindavan, they're actually higher than the formal, kind of very glorious pastimes of Krishna as Lord Narayan, where he is the Lord, and everyone bows down and worships him. Number 9 is Dhenukasura, who was in the form of a donkey. Yes, he represents. Now, interesting point is Dhenukasura was not killed by Krishna. He was killed by Balaram. There are 2 demons, as described in the Bhagavatam, who were not killed by Krishna, but were killed by Balaram. This is one Dhenukasura, the donkey demon, and the other was Pralambasura. So Dhenukasura in the form of a donkey represents the mode of ignorance. Then next, number 10 is Kaliya, the Kaliya serpent, who represents the anartha of poisoning the hearts of devotees with sort of like nasty talk about other devotees. Often it's the temple president who they talk about, or the GC, and they may say something like, "You know our temple president, right?" "Yes, I know." Well, in this case it's a she, isn't it? And then the next thing the person says is, "She's really nice, yeah?" And you agree, "Yes, she's really nice." And then the next thing the person says is, "But." And then comes the bad talk. "She's like this, and like that, and like something else, and she doesn't do this nicely." But your heart has sort of been opened by the nice talk to start off with, and now comes all this poison into your heart. And you know if your heart has become poisoned if the next time you see the temple president, you just, without even thinking about it, you just spontaneously think, "There's that bad devotee. Oh, watch out, watch out." Then you know your heart's been poisoned. Right, so that's Kaliya. Then number 11 is the first forest fire. There were two. The first forest fire represents the anartha of intercommunal discord among devotees. Different groups of devotees, but we don't like the other group like that. Then number 12 is Pralambasura, I just mentioned, killed by Lord Balaram. He represents the mode of passion, basically the desire for material enjoyment, name and fame, these types of things. Number 13 is the second forest fire, which represents, second forest fire represents the influence of atheism. Number 14 is about, and again these people were not killed, Krishna corrects the Brahmins who are performing sacrifice. And the anartha there is that they were very proud of their position in Varnashram, or in sort of modern day language, their high caste. I'm from Brahmin caste, and look at you. You are lower than me. Anyway, it used to be very common in India. You would know better than me. It's not so common now, but it's there. Yeah. Even sometimes it's common in Indian communities outside of India. In Cape Town, I'm based in South Africa. In Cape Town, there are in the Gujarati community, I don't know if any of you are Gujaratis. We have Gujarati. Kancha? Shalya Kare. Right. So the Patidas and the Mochis and the Patidas, if they're invited by a Mochi family to an event, they may not go. It's not so much now, but when I first arrived there about 40 years ago, it was prominent. It was really prominent, actually. So, yes, right. Yes. So that they read the anartha as callousness towards Krishna due to pride because of your position in Varnashram, or your supposed high caste position. Then what now? Number 15 is overcoming the pride of Lord Indra. This is the Govardhan Leela. And of course Krishna did not kill Lord Indra, but he corrected him very strongly, extremely strongly actually. So that represents the tendency towards demigod worship. Prabhupada, these words, Deva, the Devas, the Devis, he translated as demigods in English. Literally, demigod means half God. Literally means half God. But it just means, those who are under Krishna and running the universe, managing the universe under his supervision. So yeah, that Govardhan Leela represents the anartha of thinking that worshipping demigods is higher than worshipping Krishna. Number 16 is Nanda Maharaj stolen by Varuna, representing the anartha of thinking that spiritual life can be enhanced by intoxication. Would you believe it? Smoke more ganja, become more spiritually advanced. What do you think? Not a good idea. You get these Shivites, like the heavy Shivites, like the Naga Babas, if you're familiar enough with India. The Naga Babas, tough guys. And they smoke ganja, lots of it. And their argument for it is, Lord Shiva does, and we are his followers, so we must do it. It's like Krishna drinks butter, Krishna eats butter. The devotee, we must eat butter. Anyway, yeah. So Prabhupada said, you know what Prabhupada said? That yes, dear Shivites, it's a fact, Lord Shiva smokes ganja, but it doesn't affect him, because he drank an ocean of poison, and it didn't affect him. Just his throat became a little blue, but actually it didn't damage him. Just the drops, he's catching the poison and drinking it, and some drops are just escaping, and they were taken by the original snakes. And there's now the descendants of the original snakes, they still have some of that same poison. But, it's very powerful, but it's just from some of those drops, and it's so deadly. And if you've ever seen someone who was bitten, there's a video I saw of a lioness in South Africa who had been bitten by a black mamba. And black mambas, they're much worse than cobras. And you should see this lioness just going totally berserk, out of control, and then she just drops. Yes, so Prabhupada said, let the Shivites then drink an ocean of poison, and if they survive, then we'll tell them, okay, you can drink it, you can smoke as much ganja as you like, because it won't affect them. Then number 17 is Nanda Maharaj delivered from the snake, which represents the anartha of becoming influenced by impersonalism. Impersonalism, basically, don't mind me saying this, means more or less the philosophy of Shankarite philosophy, Shankaracharya. Yeah. that we're not persons. Yeah. It's all one, and we're all just part of the oneness, but somehow now we're in illusion, and we think we're individuals, but we're not. Then number 18 is Shankachuda, who represents the desire for sense enjoyment under the plea of devotion, trying to use devotional service to get some material enjoyment. Yes. Right, so number 19 is Aristasura, who was in the form of a bull, and he represents, there are 5 specific forms of false religions which are described in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Upadharma, various dharmas, like Upadharma means it's very close to Dharma, but it's not Dharma. It may look like it, but it's not. I mean, we do a seminar on these for a month, so this is just now in a very small nutshell. That was Aristasura. Then Keshi, the horse demon, represents the feeling, I am a great devotee. And then there's Vrndavana, who's described as being the sky demon. He had a body made of the sky. And he represents the anartha of associating with thieves and other nonsense people like that. Plus, people who put themselves forward as being avatars of God. They claim to be avatars, but they're not. In Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time, like I said, he's the one who came up with all these concepts. In Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time in India, it was illegal to say that you're God unless you were actually God. Yeah. If you weren't, it was a crime. And that was on that basis that he arrested, what was the fellow's name? What's it begins with M? Anyway, the one rascal, the one who had kept power in his hair. What was his name? Yes, but what was his name? Vishva something. Vishakishen. Right, yeah. And there you go. So, let us say some words now about Vatsasura. Yeah, I said I'd say some words about Vatsasura particularly, who represents this very important anartha. Anartha means anarthas, connected with bringing children up and not really trying to bring them up, but rather sort of feeling they're just there to make me happy. Just embrace them and cuddle them, you know what I mean? That sort of idea. Rather than try to train them and make them into devotees particularly. Yeah, thinking they're just cuddly toys. And things like that. So the pastime, let me tell you about the pastime. This is all going on in Vrndavana. And Krishna was now 3. He had just turned 3. this particular pastime takes place on the Gopastami day, is the second Astami in the month of Kartik. Right. So, Krishna's just turned 3. Krishna, his birthday is normally August, September, that sort of time. Kartik is October, November, that sort of time. So a couple of months after he turned 3. And Krishna came and told Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, I want to herd the cows. And we must understand when Krishna would, when he made this presentation, he wasn't just a little boy, Mommy, Daddy, can I herd the cows? Krishna was very forthright. Mata, Pita, I'm going to herd the cows. All right. This is Krishna. Strong. But Mother Yashoda, she complained. Actually, she was feeling, because Krishna had been with her 24/7 up till that time. But now if he's going to go out and herd the calves, he's going to be away for the day, for several hours or whatever. And she felt it would be intolerable for her being separated from him. So she objected. But also she said, listen, Krishna, you are only this side, you are 3, and the cows are big. They will not even see you. So you can't herd the cows. Just stay home with me. But Krishna protested, no, I want to herd the cows. So there was a negotiation back and forth. And it was settled that Krishna would herd the calves, the little ones. And Mother Yashoda reluctantly agreed. So, it's a very interesting description of the first day that Krishna went out. The very first day he went out, it was a festival. It was a celebration, because here is Krishna taking up the family, like you could say even the family dharma, because herding the cows, it's not just like an occupation, but there were real religious connotations to it. So it was a big festival, and all the different Brajvasis came and gave him gifts. For example, particularly, someone gave Krishna a stick for herding the cows. I don't know if any of you are from cow herding backgrounds, but the cows sometimes, they go off in different directions. So, not that you whack them, but you sort of tap them to get them back on the right path. So all the cowherds, they all have sticks for directing the cows. And then he was given a rope, because sometimes you have to tie a rope around the neck of the cow and sort of use a bit of pressure to get them back on track. Someone gave him a buffalo horn, because they use it for calling the cows. And devotees, listen to this. Krishna was given, someone gave him his first flute. Krishna only received his first flute on the Gopastami day, just after he turned 3. Gopastami day in Kartik. Right, and then Mother Yashoda came forward and she offered him some leather shoes, and Krishna refused and said that This is opposed to our dharma of respecting the cows. And, Prabhupada really emphasized that it's best to not use leather shoes. Anyway, I'll leave that with you. Yeah, that's what happened. So she brought him a pair of these little Indian shoes. They still make them. The little ones with the pointy toes that turn up with little bells and patches of different colored cloth, little mirrors. You've seen those types of shoes? Except they didn't just have little mirrors, they had diamonds and other gems on them. And she told Krishna, here, look, you take these shoes, you're going to be out all day and climbing Govardhan Hill, and climbing over hills and rocks, and there are thorns, so you must take a pair of shoes. And here, take an umbrella, and it's sort of a similar umbrella, multicolored, with little decorations and whatnot, and a servant to carry the umbrella and hold it over Krishna. And Krishna said, Mata, Mata, not like Mata, but Mata, I will not take these things unless you give 4 shoes and 1 servant with an umbrella for each calf. And they had 900,000 calves, 3.6 million shoes. And Malaysia said, Krishna, listen, it's all right. They're just animals. They don't need these things. So don't worry, they'll be all right. But then Krishna spoke a very important little shloka. Well, Krishna, he refused to take them unless the calves had the same. And then Krishna spoke this little, it's like, not a shloka. Anyway, it's just a little sutra. It's a sutra, just like a one-line statement. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. If you understand some Sanskrit from your childhood, if you were born in India, you might understand. Dharmo is dharmaha, but the aha becomes O by sandhi in front of the a of rakshati. But then rakshataha, there's nothing after it, so it just stays as aha. Rakshataha. So dharmo rakshati means he or she. He or she who rakshati protects dharma, rakshataha becomes protected by the same dharma. You get the idea? You maintain the standards of dharma, and those standards of dharma will maintain you. This is a very important point. In Krishna consciousness, it means if we maintain our Krishna consciousness will maintain us. Dharma rakshati rakshataha. Yes, and he made the point. The cows are our dharma. They are our dharma. And I will not take anything better than the cows. How's that? I will not take anything better than what the cows have. So Krishna, he refused. He refused and he did not take them. Yes, okay. So anyway, there they were. Out. So out they went. First day, herding the calves. And what should happen? This demon comes. Vatsasura. Yeah. He had taken the form. He's a human being. But he's got magical powers. He transformed himself into the form of a calf. You know, without mentioning any names, some people think that some famous sort of kind of like spiritual religious leaders are just very powerful if they can produce some ashes or something like that. But here, he changed his form into the form of a calf because his idea was that, you know, I will just sort of merge in with the other calves, and Krishna will not understand that I'm a demon, and I'll sneak up on him and attack him and kill him when he's not looking. And therefore I'll be successful. But Krishna knew. So Krishna, Srila Jiva Goswami says, it's Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, Krishna winked at Balaram. And, wink, wink. You see, because they have such insight. They know who everyone is. You can't fool them. So they understood, right, this is a demon, he's assumed the form of a calf, he wants to kill Krishna. So Krishna grabbed him by the tail and spun him around. Bhagavatam says, Krishna caught the demon by his hind legs and tail, twirled the demon's whole body very strongly until the demon was dead, and threw him into the top of a kapita tree, sometimes called Kshatepala. I don't know if you're familiar with that tree. I don't think it's really very common these days, but the fruit is nice. So along with, throwing the demon into the tree, and the tree gets knocked down, but now all the fruits are available. So the cowherd boys took the fruits and ate the fruits, and they cheered Krishna for killing a demon, and it was great. It was just great. Now, we have sort of run out of time, I think. Do you mind if we take another 5 minutes, or should we stop immediately? You'll give me 5 minutes, thank you. Lunch minutes. So, right. Interesting point, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada's guru has written an essay about Vatsasura, in which he explains about the anartha of not training children properly to become devotees, but just treating them in sort of materialistic ways. It's very interesting. We can't read the whole thing. We won't read the whole thing. But the point is that, what's the point? That, well, there are a few points. That he says, the only effective and natural way to bring children up properly so they become good people, but they become devotees, not just good people, but they actually become devotees, is they must be exposed to the attraction of the cowherd boy of Vrndavana. Then they will learn to pick up his company. Then they will realize that Krishna alone can save them from any type of danger that they might be exposed to because of their juvenile natures. Yeah. But if a child is allowed to spoil his health in childhood, yes. You know, there's a practice of children not being allowed, to drink liquor until they're, when I was young, was 21, or smoke cigarettes unless they're, whatever it is, something. Yeah. And the reason for that is that if they start doing these things early, then they'll kind of get burnt out with them by the time they get adults. And then they won't enjoy them so much. So it's a way to try and maximize material enjoyment. But actually, the children should be trained, the boys should be trained as brahmacharis and should be trained under a qualified teacher. Yes. So therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says, the scriptures enjoin everyone should serve the Lord from the womb, from when they come out. Not just, when they're older. Yes, they should be trained like that from their very childhood. Yes. And he makes the point, until the service of Godhead is realized, it's impossible to be really moral in the sense of being selflessly virtuous. So therefore the children should be, listen to this one, you may be shocked by this. The parent has no higher duty than to employ, particularly the boys, to employ his boy in the service of Krishna by putting him under the proper teacher, the pure devotee of Krishna. No parent should try to take charge of the spiritual training of his own boy. He's unfit for the task by his mundane relationship. So, I know what goes on extremely well. And sometimes it may be hard to find such a person who can train your child nicely. And sometimes you have to do it yourself. Yeah. So homeschooling is better than going to the government schools. I was in Long Island some years ago. I went to do a school program at a high school. As we walked in, one big sign, are you addicted to anything? If you are, call this number. Then a couple of meters further on, are you pregnant? Call this number. A couple of meters on, are you suicidal? Call this number. A couple of meters on, something else. Yeah. So Prabhupada said that this education system is like a slaughterhouse. Yeah. So best if the children can be in like a gurukul type of situation with qualified people and where the parents can be near. That's better, or homeschool, including training, like spiritual training. It's better only as a last resort should they go to the government schools. And then what can you do? Pray to God. That's all you can do. Yeah. So anyway, yes. But the teacher in charge of the spiritual training of boys can perform his duty only as a special agent of Krishna. If he tries to confide his own devices on the children, it will not work. Yes. What he has really to do is to engage the boys constantly in the service of Krishna. And therefore it's necessary for the teacher to be a full-time servant of Krishna. So then he concludes more or less by saying, the king of atheists, Kamsa, is always sending the demon Vatsasura to corrupt and destroy the children. Yes. The teacher of the young employed by the atheistic society is verily the agent of Kamsa. The atheist is afraid that the boys being engaged in Krishna's service. Yes, he does not want them to have any acquaintance with Krishna like this. So these are some thoughts, devotees. If we had much more time, we could go into it more detail. Hare Krishna.